Warning, spoilers for Strange New Worlds Season 3 ahead. Hey guys, Tyler here. So, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is no stranger to making significant contributions and even alterations to Star Trek lore. Not only have I previously commented on their depiction of the Gorn, I've also made videos about their retconning of the dates of the Eugenics Wars and even their fleshing out of the Illyrian species. But today, I'd like to explore their connection between the godlike trickster Trelane from the original series episode The Squire of Gothos and the similarly godlike Q, whose most well-known representative, played by John de Lancey, frequently pulls tricks as well. Trelane's possible status as a Q has historically been an unconfirmed fan theory, albeit one commented on by various officially licensed novels, comics, and more. That said, Strange New Worlds' depiction of Trelane has major implications for the Q Continuum and canon, not just the relationship between a boy and his parents, but the relationship between the Q and the Star Trek timeline itself. That's right, time to bust out that meme. We're going there again. So, without further ado, join me as I re-examine the history of the Q species and their interactions with the Federation. Let's get started. Actually, real quick, with some further ado, before we go any further, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about the sponsor of today's video, Nubio. Nubio offers a collection of high-quality, beautifully designed timepieces for you and your loved ones. And if you're a sci-fi fan, they've got you covered. In addition to previous promotions for Space Invaders and First Contact Day, July 4th marked the launch of the NB6118 Deimos chronograph, a limited edition watch inspired by Star Trek's Shuttle Galileo. Crafted with precision and care, the Deimos chronograph is encased in a robust 52mm stainless steel case with a sapphire crystal lens and is water resistant for durability. They even sent me one with an orange wristband. Now how cool is that? It comes in a variety of colors and is sure to please anyone with a love and passion for Star Trek. Your favorite sci-fi universes mean a lot to Nubio, so it's a pleasure to share their product with my audience. The Nubio website is sleek and fun to navigate as you browse with confidence for your next fashion statement. For your wrist, watches, we're talking about watches. Just visit the link in the description of the pinned comment to get your next timepiece today. Now, back to the video. Like I said, this video will contain spoilers for Strange New Worlds Season 3, so if that's something you care about, you've been warned. First things first, let me get this out of the way. Not only is Trelane a Q, he is the son of our Q, John de Lancey's Q. De Lancey voices Trelane's father at the end of the episode Wedding Bell Blues, in which Trelane holds the Enterprise crew hostage in a mass delusion of a wedding between Spock and Christine Chapel. But this outing also gives us some more information about the origin of the Q themselves. The episode represents the Strange New Worlds debut of Dr. Roger Corby, a scientist who specializes in the field of archaeological medicine, a discipline based on the precept that medicine is just as much a study of history as it is of science. Fans may remember that Corby is Chapel's ex-fiancée, their relationship first introduced in TOS's What Are Little Girls Made Of? Corby has been conducting an archaeological dig on the planet Vadia 9, revealed to be the long-forgotten homeworld of the Q before they evolved into non-corporeal beings. Remnants of their advanced civilization persist into the 23rd century. This pretty much rules out the notion that the Q are descended from humans, another popular fan theory, unless we're dealing with some sort of Battlestar Galactica Lost Colonies situation. This provides a rough starting point for a timeline of Q evolution. I talked extensively about their possible origins in my video on the Q themselves, but I'll go ahead and recap some of the major points here with the new context from Strange New Worlds. While in Voyager's The Q and the Gray, Q states his species has always existed, Quinn says in Death Wish that they were once like humans. But given the non-linear nature of Q's existence, these statements aren't necessarily contradictory. The Q can trace parts of their history in the continuum billions of years in the past, such as when Q and Miss Q began their relationship. But since these events exist outside normal space-time, they can predate their evolution in our dimension. And billions of years of their history may not even have anything to do with the age of our universe. Whatever the case, given archaeological remains generally last for millions of years tops rather than billions, Nines, I think it's fair to say that the civilization on Vadia 9 is at most a few million years old, if not just a few thousand or even less. We don't really know for sure, nor can we really extrapolate Vadia 9's age or composition based on what kind of star Vadia's primary is, since we don't know its spectral class either, but it doesn't really matter. What we can say is that somehow, within the past few million years at most, the natives of Vadia 9 transcended, likely evolving beyond the use of advanced technology to a state of non-corporeal existence. How they did this is uncertain, but there are some theories that can point us in the right direction. In my original Q video, I discussed the Kardashev scale, developed in 1964 by Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev. It's a method of measuring a civilization's technological level based on how much energy it can harness at certain scales. The original scale has 3 levels: Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3. A Type 1 civilization can harness the entire energy output of its home planet. A Type 2 civilization can harness the entire energy output of their star, and a Type 3 civilization can harness the entire energy output of its galaxy. Humanity is currently estimated to be Type 0.73, since we have only been able to use and store a fraction of our planet's geothermal energy. I erroneously suggested the Federation would be Type 2.5, but such a civilization would be able to construct a Dyson sphere, or manipulate matter and energy on a scale like Species 10C in Discovery's 4th season, which even the 32nd Century Federation is incapable of. Earth and its peers in Star Trek are probably more like Type 1, but in any event, the Q are way beyond even Type 3, with some characterizing them as a Type 4 or 5 civilization. Michio Kaku has speculated that Type 4 could harness extragalactic energy sources like dark energy, whereas Type 5 could control a hypothetical multiverse. Such a civilization's activities would be indistinguishable from the everyday workings of nature. That said, the Kardashev scale has some problems. It's been criticized as archaic for its focus on energy production rather than manipulating energy on increasingly smaller scales of reality. This is more consistent with the Q's behavior, as they can manipulate reality on seemingly the quantum level. An alternative scale proposed by cosmologist John D. Barrow extends downward from Type 1- to Type Omega-. Type 1- civilizations can work with macro-scale objects, Type 2- alter living beings' genetic code, Type 3- make or break molecular bonds, Type 4- create nanotechnologies, Type 5- manipulate the atomic nucleus, Type 6- manipulate elementary particles, and Type Omega- change the basic structure of space and time. On this scale, the Q definitely fit Type Omega-. Perhaps they began as an industrial society that conducted engineering on increasingly smaller scales, and eventually, over the span of centuries, they figured out how to manipulate the wave functions of their own quantum structures to disconnect from our plane of existence to what would be called the Q Continuum. Of course, after inhabiting this state of existence for billions of our Earth years, they become a stagnant culture where everything interesting has been said and done, prompting Quinn to shake up the status quo by wishing to give up his immortality. Of course, besides knowing the name of the Q's original homeworld and narrowing down a time frame for their corporeal evolution, not much of what I just said is new. But more intriguing to many fans is the possible connection between Trelane and Q Junior, the latter conceived during the Q Civil War that erupted following Quinn's suicide. Q Junior's birth was meant as a way to restore the status quo of the Continuum, but instead, he himself causes chaos throughout the universe, starting wars among innocent species, tampering with gene pools, and punching holes in the fabric of space-time. In the episode Q2, Q Junior makes some progress in reining in his behavior, with Q vowing to take full responsibility for his son forever. But this has led some to speculate that Q Junior and Trelane are the same person. Trelane's juvenile interactions with the Enterprise crew in Wedding Bell Blues, albeit in disguise, and the Squire of Gothos, presumably representing some of Junior's disobedient, cruel acts. This is, once again, bolstered by Delancey's voicing of Trelane's father, appearing as the same orb of green light depicted at the end of the Squire of Gothos. While it's possible Trelane is Q Junior, Memory Alpha, the canon Star Trek wiki, characterizes them as siblings, which is also suggested by the novel Q Squared. Now, Memory Alpha isn't gospel, and in fact, there are some instances where I think it presents just flat-out unconfirmed, inaccurate information. But Trelane and Q Junior being siblings is a highly likely explanation to me. Trelane could be Miss Q's second son, or even Q Junior's half-brother from another relationship, although in any event, he is
only 8,000 of your Earth years.
8,020, Dad.
Considered a young child by Q standards. If they're not the same person, I do think he was born after Q Junior, since the mating of 2Q is treated as an unprecedented event in Voyager. While we're here, I also wanted to use this video as an opportunity to discuss another aspect of the Q's existence. How their relationship with humanity is also closely tied to both species' relationship with the Borg. Since Strange New Worlds and some of the other new Star Trek shows have continued to dabble in time travel and parallel universe shenanigans, it's only fair that we reevaluate how the Q fit into all of this, since they can manipulate the nature of space-time itself. Q himself is, of course, integral in the history of the Federation's interactions with the Borg, having accelerated first contact between the two societies, as depicted in the Next Generation episode, Q Who. Done with the purpose of showing Picard and the Enterprise crew what dangers await them in the galaxy, Q introducing Starfleet to the Borg inevitably set off a chain reaction that has had dire consequences for the Prime Universe.
Q set a series of events into motion, bringing your contact with the Borg much sooner than it should have come, since they're aware of your existence.
They will be coming.
While the Borg had already attacked Federation and Romulan colonies in 2364, transporting the Enterprise to System J25 the subsequent year potentially led the Borg to accelerate their advance towards Earth, resulting in the Battle of Wolf 359. This led to Benjamin Sisko's reassignment to Deep Space Nine, from which the USS Voyager embarked on her maiden voyage in 2371 into the Badlands, putting them in the wrong place at the wrong time to be transported to the Delta Quadrant by the Caretaker. Their 7-year journey home would of course culminate in the events of Endgame, in which Catherine Janeway from an alternate future deals a devastating blow to the Borg Collective. And of course, Seven of Nine's presence in the Alpha Quadrant in Star Trek Picard is instrumental in helping fight back against what remains of the Borg in the early 25th century. Some fans have speculated that Q introduced Starfleet to the Borg and Q Who with the express purpose of setting this sequence of events into motion, the end goal being to remove the Borg as a potential threat to the Q. The logic goes that while the Borg might not pose a threat to the Q right now, given the vast technological and physical differences between the two species, one day the Borg could become powerful enough to threaten the Q's dominance over the galaxy. This could happen over vast timescales, like the centuries it took the Q to evolve into non-corporeal beings, or it could happen faster in the way that a swarm of wasps, while less advanced life forms than we are, can still cause us significant harm. This would be similar to how the Q clearly view humanity as a species that could potentially become as powerful as the Q one day, or even exceed their power. There are problems with this, of course. One being that Q expresses surprise that Voyager is in the Delta Quadrant a century earlier than Starfleet is supposed to be exploring that region of space. This more or less confirms that the Q are not truly omniscient, just near omniscient, probably only being able to see a litany of possible futures like the Sphere Builders, rather than knowing exactly how things will always play out. When Q tells his son not to provoke the Borg, this could also simply be a warning against disrupting the balance of power in the Milky Way, which could lead to the destruction of civilizations like humanity that Q seems to care about. In any case, Q accelerating first contact between the Federation and the Borg was likely instrumental in helping Starfleet prepare for the Borg's eventual incursions into Federation territory. This would also make Q responsible for the time loop created by the events of Star Trek First Contact, when the Borg tried to disrupt humanity's first contact with the Vulcans, and the subsequent events of Enterprise's regeneration, when surviving Borg drones in the Arctic send a message to the Delta Quadrant that precedes their approach of local space in the 24th century. It would also tie in with Quinn saving Will Riker's ancestor from dying of a battlefield injury during the American Civil War, the First American Civil War, so Riker could go on to help save humanity from the Borg, and Quinn could rub it in Q's face. As for what all of this means, well, I'll put it this way. Strange New Worlds' effective confirmation that Trelane is a Q, despite neither character being named in the episode, is what the creatives intended based on interviews. Links to those primary sources are in the description. And this connection essentially puts to rest, in my opinion, arguments over whether Q are humanity's descendants. At the very least, we know that they evolved from a corporeal civilization on the planet Vadia 9. And finally, less so to do with Trelane, I think separating humanity and the Q's actual ancestors gives them a more compelling reason to take an interest in humanity, not less. It's one thing to take an active role in shepherding your ancestors across time to ensure your own existence, but it's another to nurture a species that could one day supplant you as caretakers of reality. Q arguably saves humanity by introducing us to the Borg early, as timelines where this doesn't happen could result in the total assimilation of the Federation and its neighbors centuries down the line.
Without Q, the Borg would have assimilated the Federation. Thank you. Thank you.
The Prime Universe being filled with all kinds of time paradoxes maintaining the Federation's existence might be thanks to the actions of some godlike trickster aliens with a soft spot for lower life forms. Also, how Strange New Worlds' revelations about the background of Number 1, aka Una Chin Riley, correlate with factions in the temporal Cold War like the Sphere Builders and Xindi is another matter. I have a whole video about that topic as well, which you should definitely check out right now. Link in the description. Having said all this, what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. With that, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below and don't forget to share it. That stuff really helps me out. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that as well so you won't miss future uploads, and click the bell icon to receive all notifications. If you want to support my work even further, you can become a patron at patreon.com/OrangeRiver, link in the description, or become a YouTube member by clicking the join button on my channel page. By becoming a patron or member, you also get access to awesome perks like behind-the-scenes photos and videos, patron and member-only polls, name in the credits, merch discounts, and more. Or you can drop a one-time super thanks or PayPal donation. All are appreciated. Links to my PayPal, as well as my social media and merch store, are in the description too. Also, just as a reminder, I do have a second channel, OrangeRiver Plus, where I've uploaded the VODs of lots of my gaming streams, with more on the way. And in addition to some other goofy one-offs and extra behind-the-scenes content, I've officially made it my second streaming platform, so be sure to subscribe there too, so you don't miss any new content. That's all I have for this week. Live long and prosper.
Hey you! Yes, you! Sitting there on your ass! It's me, the ghost of Dr. Asukaza, coming back from reptilian hell to deliver you another very important message. The reason why I died is because that asshole killed me in the first issue. Like seriously? You impaled me? But whatever. Put down your replica of the Enterprise and listen up! Issue 3 of Star Trek Endurance is now available for patrons and members of OrangeRiver. Just sign up for $2 or more at patreon.com/OrangeRiver or click the join button on OrangeRiver's YouTube channel page. If Erica could figure it out, you can too. By the way, a lot of people seem to think I'm a Gorn. Well, I'm not a fucking Gorn, I'm a Nalish, you assholes. Look it up. We were in the animated series. It's canon. Anyway, back to reptilian hell.
Do you like merchandise? If so, head on over to the new and improved OrangeRiver merch store. That's right, OrangeRiver is now officially on Spreadshop. I've got a bunch of awesome new designs, including All the Way Down,
All the Way,
Vape God, Tally, aka Best Girl,
it was totally worth it.
and what is perhaps my greatest design yet,
I love being married to my husband.
Plus I've got some of my classic designs like OrangeRiver Arrowhead, N7, Metroid, Mycelial Network,
The mycelial network is like
Mycelial Network, and more. And there are even some new products like OrangeRiver hats. That's right, OrangeRiver hats now exist. Visit the link in the description to get discounts and other special deals on items from my store.